Hello, friends of the Thompsons. We want to give you just a flavor of our wonderful trip to Scandinavia. Here is our before picture as we prepared to leave from Chicago to Stockholm. We look pretty good, don't we? Now, here's our picture after we landed, checked into our hotel, and met our tour guide, whose name is Joel. How do we look now?
Tell you about City Hall, because if you were to be invited to the Nobel Prize banquet, which takes place here, then you'd be going in here, along with also heads of state or other fancy people visiting here. They go in there, and also
that stairway.
yeah. Also, if you were to want to get married here, it's free, open to anybody, no matter where you're from, male, female, female, male. You cannot be related, though, not too closely anyways. And they get married there every Saturday. It's open to the public, but it's usually a long waiting line. They have two different ceremonies. They have the long one and the short one. It's a civil wedding. The long one is 3 minutes long, and the short one is 30 seconds long.
Oh my goodness.
Nobody lives on the island. We used to have a janitor. He retired at the age, I think it was about 89 or something like that. Not that long ago.
It's more coffee.
Yeah, get some more coffee? Yeah, good coffee here. Good that you're coffee drinkers, by the way, because that's very important in Sweden.
Javalia.
In there is where the king used to live. They lived here up until the early 80s. And then they moved out to the island of Stockholm, a different palace. They had 10 different palaces to choose from, and they chose to move when they had the third child. And in here you have mainly decorated rooms from the 1700s and onwards. But the opposite end of where we're standing now is the oldest part of this palace, where you have decoration of the old official rooms and halls from the 1600s, because that part was built onto the previous building that was here, the castle. So what you essentially have is a bunch of big paintings in very fancy rooms, a lot of Baroque, and I mean real Baroque, really fancy. You've got some rooms that are very typically 1800s, extra everything, golden, big, lavish, fancy stuff.
Joel gave us a tour of Old Town, with buildings going back hundreds of years. The Old Town is an impressive place and included a changing of the guards. The crowds were so large we could not get very good movies, but at least we saw these guards.
بریم سمت اینجا که سلامیه اون براست. آره فکر کنم هیئت.
Then we visited the Vasa Ship Museum. In August of 1628, the Vasa ship, a beautifully made warship, left the docks in Stockholm only to sink after going less than a mile. High winds forced the ship to tip over, and the weight of the cannons and the top of the ship was too much to stay afloat. In 1961, the ship was brought back up from the sea, refurbished, and installed in a museum. You can see the beautiful carvings intending to put fear into opposing soldiers. Tourists and natives come by the droves to see this colossal failure. We took a long boat tour our last full day in Sweden, and it was a wonderful tour. we saw more of the old architecture. We saw the museums from a water perspective. And we saw a giant amusement park with some very scary rides, especially the massive swing set with riders going hundreds of feet in the air. Our children and grandchildren would have loved it. The water in the Baltic Sea is at a different level than the water in the lake surrounding Stockholm. And so we had to go through different sets of locks. One man had it right while he waited for the lock to change the water level. We saw the new Stockholm with buildings of glass and more glass. Everyone wants to look out on the water, and no one can blame them. A beautiful place to be. Finally, we saw Stockholm as the natives see it, a place of beauty where one can travel the canals, enjoy the parks, smell the flowers, and listen to American music and eat ice cream.
Picture of us and talking a wolf. That's an ugly dog.